Hello and welcome to another episode of Feeding Fatty. I'm Roy.
I'm Carrie.
So today we have Craig Mitchell. He's going to be our guest. He is an actor, stand-up comedian, writer, and an amateur chef. I know that on September in 2016, Craig he had felt faint after dinner and was weighing about 380 pounds at the time. He was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and then immediately embraced the lifestyle change. And, that's why we really wanted to talk to him is some of the things that he's done. I'll let him explain the weight that he's lost, but also he has done some cooking videos on YouTube, and so we're going to get him.
Gloria.
So after we get through with this, we'll be sure and have him tell us how, because I think that's important as everybody walks through this journey. It's figuring out those little tips and tricks. So without further ado, Craig, thanks for taking time out of your day and being with us.
Welcome. Yeah.
Hey, thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and I want to thank you for naming the podcast after me. That's very sweet. Because it's all about me being fed, and well.
Yeah, I know that was what I thought too. I'm always going to be. Even if I lose weight, I will always be that little fatty inside. So that was kind of why.
It reminds me of Chris Farley, because his default, he used to say, "Well, fatty falls down." It would say, and that's what he would do. So when you say feeding fatty, I just think of Chris Farley, think of comedy, and I want to be fed. So it all kind of fits into one.
Well, that's awesome. Well, why don't you start out by telling everybody just a little bit about your story, kind of how much you've lost so far in your journey, a little bit about how you've gotten there, and we'll just start off with that and have a discussion based around that.
Sure thing. Well, it started, as you said, it started in September of 2016, and since then I've lost 4 years. Oh no! Since then, no, my doctor diagnosed me as the worst case of type 2 diabetes he'd ever seen.
Wow.
I have an A1C of 12. I've actually heard of people who have 16, so I don't know how. Wow. Okay, it was bad.
Yeah, and what does that translate into? Just like I know that's pretty high for A1C, but what does that translate to just like taking it on the daily meter?
Well, I was probably for a while averaging in the high 200s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Averaging,
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, my right eye here grew an accelerated cataract because of the increased sugar. And that's something I have to get treated eventually. And it tends to wander and drift. So if I look like Jack Elam, don't worry.
Well, I think that's a component of diabetes a lot of people don't understand. Is it's more than just high blood sugar and not feeling well. I mean, not only I think it's blood flow to the extremities. I know people that have had to have toes amputated, but it also can affect your eyesight.
Or your heart, or your organs,
yeah, I guess your liver, kidneys. I mean, it's just it is so deadly. I just don't know. While we talk about diabetes a lot, I don't think people understand just exactly how terrible that it can be on someone's body.
Well, it's actually an epidemic, and I'm borderline a hypochondriac, but I did a lot of medical study, especially I wanted to be a doctor when I was younger, so I took a lot of pre-med courses. So the thing is, I always kind of touted myself as knowing what was going on, and if I didn't, I would learn it. But I was completely in the dark that my body was being ravaged by this. I mean, I was urinating like 12, 15 times a day, but I thought, well, I'm 56, it's probably my prostate or something, and
Right.
And things got blurry. Well, I figured, well, my eyes are going, but yeah, when I first had it on that night in September, actually it was the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, September 8th, 2016. So I'll never forget that.
Wow.
Night. Yeah, I really went where no man's
That's a
gone
date.
before. But when I had 3 slices of pizza and I drank like a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi, regular Pepsi, and I got dizzy like I had hypoglycemia, and my roommate had a testing kit, and I think my blood sugar was like 370 or something like that, 380.
Oh
Really,
my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, that was just, yeah. And my doctor wanted bariatric surgery. He wanted to put me on glipizide and metformin. I did go on metformin. Glipizide and me, I'm kind of allergic to it.
Okay.
And I told him no. I said, I remember in his office, he was like, you're going to have bariatric surgery. You can't lose enough weight to do this. I was like, yeah, hold my burrito. Watch this. And don't ask me why I had a burrito. I was, and I did. It was 6 months. I had lost about 100 pounds. I had reversed my type 2. My A1C went down to 6.1.
That's
And
awesome.
I've been off medication since.
Man, that is great.
And you've controlled it all just through your diet.
Oh, diet only. Yeah.
Diet only. That's
Yep.
it. Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Congratulations to you. That's a feat. I mean, oh my gosh.
But I didn't, I was hoping, what happened to me is I was taking the metformin and it was right before dinner and I got really woozy again. And my first thought was like, oh no, is my blood sugar going through the roof again? And I tested my blood and it was like 57. And
Wow.
it was before I took my night's dose of metformin. So I didn't take it. And then the next day I tested, it was like 90. And it just from there on, I didn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
I kind of took myself off it, which I would not advise, but I did.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. And
doesn't mean it's right.
from my experience too, if you test enough, test around that medicine, because I'm back on it, but I've had doubts sometimes whether it really is helping me that much or not, because there have been times when I had failed to take it and would have much lower blood sugar. So anyway, what I would tell everybody out there to do is just be sure and test all around it. If it's not working, you feel like it's not working correctly, go back to your doctor and talk to him, because there are other avenues that you can go
Absolutely.
down. And of course, I've talked to my doctor, and that's what he said. He wants me to go a little bit longer, but he said we may look at changing it.
I mean, I'm still testing. I mean, I have this right here. I test a couple times a day. Well, with this lockdown, I kind of had a slide back. I gained some weight. I mean, you can do it even if you eat low carb and whatever. I gained some weight and my numbers went up, and now I've gotten them back down again. And I can actually see the difference in the video here. My face was a lot fatter, believe it or not, like 2 weeks ago. It's an ongoing battle, and you can do all the right things. And, it's like, I don't know if are you a baseball fan, either one of you?
Yeah.
You remember Prince Fielder?
Yeah.
Like, he was a vegetarian. And people would say, what is he eating? A tree? How does, because everybody said, well, he's big and heavy and he's a vegetarian. Well, you know what? You can eat low carb, but if you eat a lot of high calorie and go over it, you can still gain weight low carb too. So you got to find a balance.
Yeah. And one thing I'm not sure if I've ever talked about this before, but a few years ago when the keto phase came out and was getting big, I would listen to a couple guys. I never went total keto. My doctor just told me, try to stay between 40-60 on my carbs every day, which is close, but not quite what I think they're under 20, something like that.
For the day.
20 does,
under 20 for the day.
Yeah. Well, no, he told me to be under 40-60 for the day as well. So I was fairly close, but not quite there. But in some of those shows, I heard a doctor, he was an MD, so I'm going to vouch for him and say he knew what he was talking about. He said that our bodies can learn that if we go low carb, but if we're too high on protein, it will start taking that excess protein and turning that into fat. So anyway, it just have to, because that's what I was doing. I was so extremely high on my proteins there for a while. I wasn't watching it. I thought, well, watching my carbs, so proteins, just let them rip, and eating all the bacon and everything, which a lot of fat. Of course, the keto wants you to have more fat than not, but anyway, it was still difficult for me. But what's been your?
I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, I remember when Atkins came out 35 years ago, and all my family were on it. I was a fat kid, so I was on it, and we'd be chewing on pepperoni sticks. and having like 12 egg omelets and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
And after 3 days, I was just so sick of all of that, and you were ready to do it. I was ready to like knock over a nun for a piece of bread. It was just like, not good.
Oh.
I wouldn't do that. I would ask her politely.
Yeah,
And before you shoved him to the ground.
Right, exactly, yeah.
we just need to tell the audience no nuns were injured during the taping of this show.
No, I was brought up Catholic. I would never do anything.
Oh my gosh.
So what are some things that you have done? I know that you kind of lowered the carbs, but that's, well, for somebody like myself, that's difficult because I love bread, we love chips,
Right.
we love all that. So what are some things that you've done that have been kind of ingenious, I guess, in order to have some good
Yes,
food,
let's see.
to have the
I'd
food,
like
but
to
yet lower the carbs?
I don't know if it's ingenious, but I researched when I did my comedy cooking show, because I want to be funny, and at the same time I want to share all these recipes. I go out, I research recipes, and at first I just follow them by the letter because I didn't know what I was doing. But
Right.
now, as I've gained some experience, I can mix and match and do what I think. Oh, this would be good in this. This would be good in that. And I just try to take comfort foods on my show, and I mean comfort food like pizza, cheesecake, chocolate cake, Snickers bars,
Mhm.
and I try to make low carb versions of them that can give you that sense of satisfaction without feeling that you're what's the word when you're well, I can't think of that word. That word has left my vocabulary, folks. That word that when you want something and you can't have it, you're deprived. You don't feel
Deprived.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
sorry, because I'm a very depraved person. Anyway,
Yeah, and you weren't really, I think you had told me when we talked earlier that you weren't really a cook. You never really got in the kitchen that much. So, I mean, not only have you had to learn, how to do some of these cool things low carb, but you've also kind of learned the whole cooking process as well.
I have. I'm actually making sauces now. I mean, that to me, that's like, are you kidding? That's a
That's
whole.
what I want to hear about are the sauces. Oh my
I don't know
gosh.
3. I only know 3. So
3 is good.
Yeah.
I made a creamy Dijon, a low carb Dijon sauce for pork.
Ooh.
And it also works with fish, especially if I air fry it and I bread it in like flaxseed, so there's no carbs. And man, it's like it's fantastic. And I've made a cheddar cheese sauce, and I make gravy too. Like I made gravy last night, low carb gravy with my turkey.
Did you have stuffing?
I did not. I could, but I didn't do it.
Okay.
I have all this big stuff to make it with, but I did not make it because we had so much other stuff,
I got so bloated. I had mashed cauliflower. I had mashed turnips. I had low carb biscuits, and I made low carb gravy, which had a lot of fiber in it too. And I felt like a beach ball. And I think my total carbs was probably less than 10.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
So it's all about the fiber,
Yeah.
that you take in, and it was delicious. It was great, and I definitely don't feel deprived there, But you can make your own stuffing. I make a low carb bread that I found online. I make it on the bread machine. It's like 2 carbs a slice. Next year, I'll take it. I'll let it get stale, chop it up, and I'll make that into a stuffing or a breading.
Okay.
Interesting. I never thought about a low carb bread, but we'll have to check that out because
Oh yeah.
that is the one thing I feel more, like deprived. Now that you brought that up, we'll use it again. I do feel more deprived of the, the bread and bread products. We can find a decent loaf, commercially made that may be 10 per little bitty dinky slice. So that would definitely be something worth checking out because I do love bread.
But they're also very expensive too.
Are they?
Yeah, well, there's a store here. I'm not trying to plug it. It's called Aldi, and they're famous for having this low carb bread.
Okay.
But it's expensive, and they're always running out of it. So I went online and I saw this guy. I don't even know him, but he's called the Keto King, and he has a machine recipe and he has an oven recipe for a low carb bread. And so that's what I did, and I share it because it's certainly not my recipe. But I think he deserves a lot of credit for it because I have seen. I just had a turkey sandwich before we went on the air, you know, and it's like, you know, I guess it's all about eating, you know, normally without ingesting all the carbs. It got me in all the
Right.
trouble to begin with.
You know what? We do have Aldi's here, so we'll have to check that out and see. It's just not a place we go to a lot, but it's one
Right.
here in the neighborhood, so we'll check
Right.
that out. Yeah, because you know, finding low carb stuff in a regular store, it's pretty difficult nowadays. I mean, everything is just more, bigger, better.
Well, and it is, like you said, it is really expensive, but you don't want to, the taste, you know, you don't know about the taste, you know, you're going to pay for that. And then it's going to taste like cardboard. And that's the first thought that I have is that, oh my gosh, it's going to be low carb or no carb. It's going to taste like cardboard. I'm not eating it.
Some of it is, you know,
Yeah.
I won't say the company, but there's two rival companies that make bagels. They're awfully expensive. I think it's like $25 for 8 of them. You know,
Yikes.
but
Wow.
if you space it out, you know, you can enjoy yourself. And one of them was really good. The other one was like, you know, chewing on cardboard. It really
Yeah.
was. You know, I'm not going to bash them, but you know, I've made my own. But Fathead, I don't know if you know about Fathead stuff.
No.
Fathead is basically when you take, instead of using flour, you'll use almond flour, and then you'll use mozzarella cheese and cream cheese, and that becomes the binder. But I gotta tell you, after a little bit, I just get so overwhelmed with the taste of the cheese. It
Ah.
kind of turns me off after a while. I can't really have it a lot.
Well, so tell me this. Originally, you're from New York, so we'll plug that in there. How do you make pizza out of with cauliflower as a crust to slide it by the taste of a guy from New York?
How'd you fall for that?
You want me to be honest? You know, the best pizza I've made. I think I've made on my show. Like I said, I've done 76 shows, and I'd say I've probably done pizza about 6 times.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to find a better recipe. And the
Right.
first one was so involved with the cauliflower. You got to do it, and you got to squeeze the water out, and you burn your hands, and you got to do this, and you got to flatten it out. And it's, you know, and it was okay. And then I found another recipe that was better, and another recipe. I would say the best I've ever done is I'll make something that tastes like a DiGiorno pizza, which
Okay.
ain't bad, but it's not New
No.
York pizza. You know, you got to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and
not.
that's sometimes it's just that little taste, you know, for me, if I get a little taste of it, it doesn't have to be the very best, but just enough to kind of satisfy you and be able to move on.
Exactly. I'm actually doing another one, not this upcoming episode. By next episode, I'm making a flaxseed crust pizza.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll be
Yeah.
very
Never thought
curious
about that.
about that.
I tested it, and it was good. It was firm, but it was bland. So I'm going to have to throw in some flavors into it. Probably some Italian seasoning, definitely some more salt, and I have to make it a little bit thinner.
Okay.
Because it was a little bit too fat for me. I'm not like the big, you know, New York, we have to have like the slice. It's like really thin, you know,
Yeah.
that's what you gotta have.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's one thing we've adjusted, I think, is in the spice section. I know we do a lot more cumin,
Turmeric.
turmeric
We do a lot of turmeric.
because I had taken turmeric supplements for a while because they say that they help you a lot. But anyway, we started doing it, cooking with it, which was even better.
Yeah.
And but anyway, I think that kind of helps us overcome some stuff is when we kind of spice it. And what's that other? Remember the bigger
Oh, nutritional yeast.
nutritional yeast?
I have
We
that
started
too.
using a
We
lot
had
of that.
never used that before, and it makes stuff taste buttery. I mean, it's good.
As a matter of fact, I just found a recipe for well, they said it's actually keto brownies, and
Ooh.
nutritional yeast is one of the ingredients. And I said, oh yeah, I have that. I can make this. Yay.
Okay.
Yeah, we got really good at inputting everything we ate into an app. Just, you know, I guess we'll plug it. It seemed to be the best, the chronometer. And there's so many little micronutrients that we were missing out on. And so that's another thing is the nutritional yeast was really good for picking up some of the micronutrients that are just left out of
Cool.
recipes just to try to balance it out, to try to get everything. Because it's tough, you know, we're busy and we love to cook. We got in the kitchen, cook together, but it seems to take so much time.
The
So,
prep work and the whole, I mean, the whole foods, all that stuff. It's just
and
sometimes,
going to the grocery store,
oh
making
my
sure you
gosh.
got everything you need. So, do you find that that has been a problem for you once you started cooking, or are you
I've
pretty?
I've actually created a lot of shortcuts. Like when I was working, I would come home like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would pre-do dinner. Meaning, if I would take out the chicken, I would defrost it, I would pound it, I would bread it in whatever I was breading it in, whether it be oatmeal, whether it be flaxseed, and I would chop the vegetables, get everything ready, put it in the refrigerator, take a nap for 2.5 hours, then wake up and I would cook it. So I got into like this, into this routine that made it a
Right.
lot easier. And plus, I'm only cooking for one too. It's um, but yeah, some days you just don't feel like going through all the motions though. Like I made a really good lasagna on my show, but it's a little laborious, and sometimes you just like, oh, I just want to eat in 10 minutes. I don't want to,
That's what
don't
happens
mind
to
yourself.
us.
I'll just
Yeah.
have a burger.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's our downfall
Yeah.
usually, is that too. And so, I guess that brings up a good question about when you're cooking low carb. If you freeze it, is it as good? Once you unfreeze it, as normal recipes is about the same, or is there any difference? Because that's one thing that we usually do, is cook a little bit more, so we can have, like, I can have leftovers for lunch tomorrow, but then also if we have a little bit, put it back in the freezer and see. Sometimes it's hit and miss with the when we use like the was it diced or rice cauliflower.
Hmm.
Sometimes that stuff doesn't come out as
Yeah.
good, after you unfreeze it, as a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true, especially if you bought it frozen to begin with, or if you
Yeah.
make.
Right.
So I make my own. Most of the time, I just take a head of cauliflower and I grind it up.
Oh, wow.
I just recently made stuffed peppers, and instead of rice, I use the rice cauliflower and ground
Okay.
turkey, and I actually take the tops of the peppers and I grind them up and I put them into the middle too, and
Oh,
some
that
tomatoes.
sounds really good, doesn't
Yeah.
it? I think we need something for dinner.
Oh,
So what kind of machine do you use to grind it up that fine?
Do you have a KitchenAid attachment or something?
It's actually it's just a generic food processor that I got for
Okay.
a couple years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It works
I
out
would.
great.
Yeah, and we don't have a lot of gadgets. We're kind of adding some in, but it's when you look at how fine they rice or chop that up, it's like, ugh, I didn't know we could replicate that at home. So that's good.
And that brings up gadgets. Air fryer. Let's talk air fryers here.
Oh yeah.
I just got a new one. My daughter just sent me a new one, and it's got the basket and the rotisserie, all that good stuff. What is your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing to make in the air fryer, or
I'm kind of
like
off
that?
it. I'm kind of off it now while I'm getting my blood sugar back down, which it mostly is, but French fries.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
lucky enough that I can tolerate a potato a day, and but I'm trying to, like I said, right now I'm trying to bring it down more and trying to lose some weight, so I'm trying to stay away from it. But yeah, air fried French fries is my favorite things in the world.
What's
And I've got
something
it
that
down.
you? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said I've got it down, the recipe. I'm sorry.
The rest.
Yeah.
So what's something that you didn't think about when you first got the air fryer? I mean, is there something that has surprised you that's actually been good in it?
Yeah, and it's something. There's two things: bacon and steak.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I could never make good bacon. Never. It was always overdone, too greasy. It's perfect every time in the air fryer. Perfect. And
Better better than I'm not better, but is it better for you than fried in the pan, or
probably
about the same?
it's not sitting in its own bacon fat. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
but it does drop down unless you cook it in a pan, which sometimes I have, and then as far as carbs go, great. As far as fats and calories, you're gonna have to watch
No.
that a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we used to eat a ton of bacon
Oh my
all the
gosh.
time. Saturday and Sundays was our morning to cook in. We'd always eat. Ugh, I'm not even gonna tell you how much bacon we cooked, and that's one thing that we did cut out. But this air fryer, Well, I think we had talked about this a little bit earlier as well. We had a small one that had, I mean, it was just limited space, and so weren't able to do a lot. But this one has this big basket. I mean, it's like I don't know, it's like
It's
a
like a
rotisserie
bingo,
game.
a bingo collar,
Yes.
with the numbers,
So
That's
anyway,
what I prefer those type to the oven ones, because I have an oven one too. The oven
okay.
ones to me don't tend to keep the heat in as well because they have the glass front.
Uh,
That basket that goes in, it really self-contains, and I think you get like for French fries and stuff like that, or
right.
doing chicken cutlet or whatever, it tends to get hotter. I don't know if we talked about this when when I said hi to you guys, but I I I bought a new air fryer that's coming, and I can't wait. I bought a 9.5 quart air fryer.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going
I
to be able
mean,
to. Yeah, my cat's going to sleep in it.
yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how big ours is, but I don't think it's that even the new one's not that
No.
big.
No, but it's plenty big. Yeah, you just have to put everything in a single layer. I mean, that little one, it's just everything was in a single layer. You had to do it. And it just made the timing and it just made everything more complicated than trying to use the old oven and the stovetop, but I know.
Yeah, that's why I have more than one. I do a
I
side
was,
one, I do the main course in the other.
yeah, so you'll have 5 or you'll have 6 air fryers.
Well, this is my 7th air fryer.
7. Okay. Okay.
But
Oh
I
my
gave
goodness.
one away, and one was a glass bowl one that cracked. So those are gone.
Yeah.
My first one I have at my old job, which I've been off from, and I'm giving my Power XL fryer away to a friend when I get this new one, and I'm going to have 3 here.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's an idea that you told us about when I'd never even thought of, but it may be beneficial to have a couple of those things going at once. And this one that we've got, the volume is going to be different, but that other one, I guarantee you that we cooked 10 loads of stuff in it to try to make one meal, but we were so worn out by the time the last one came out, we're like, we don't even know what the meal consisted of, and we were just give out.
Yeah, and part of that is just me trying to figure out what to do anyway, and not read the instructions, because I'm not, I like to just do, and it doesn't always work out so great.
That's kind of what I did. I kind of found my own way. I saw all these different, all these people had this advice to make crispy French fries in the air fryer, and soaking them overnight and this and that. And I'm like, no. And I just did it my own way, and they're fantastic. And it's a lot easier. It's a lot less work. Maybe it's me. Maybe they would taste more starchy to somebody else, but I love them. And I don't feel, that word again, deprived at all with them. I feel like it's decadent.
Well, one other thing we wanted to ask you about was tofu. Do you ever mess with tofu that much?
Oh, he made a face.
My brother used to teach tofu, and oh wait, tofu. Okay,
right.
Sorry. I've had tofu, but I cooking it. I think I only tried once, and I tried.
Okay.
It wasn't firm tofu, and I didn't like the texture.
Okay. Well, that was one thing that we tried that was extremely good in the smaller air fryer, but I think she put some on a cookie sheet.
Yeah,
as well.
just on some.
Firm?
Yes, it was extra firm, and just cubed them up and put a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of olive oil, and that was or olive oil spray, and I mean that was it. And it just kind of tasted like we just popped it like popcorn,
And it was smaller. She cut them small, so I think it made them get done where they weren't like gooey inside. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was more like just like a cubed potato.
Yeah.
Like you'd cube potato and skillet cook it. It's what it tasted like. But we've tried a lot with mixing it in with eggs and some chicken meat, just kind of making it part of the dish because it seems to take on the taste of whatever you're cooking it with.
Yeah, you have to infuse taste into it for sure. Yeah.
But,
I mean, I just used the not so firm, so it got very gelatinous, and I didn't really like that. Yeah. And everybody said you should have got the firm. I'm like, yeah, next time I will.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that and say definitely get the firm, because the first time that I tried tofu years ago, it was that soft, gross, mushy, blah taste.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, and I think one thing, everything that we have cooked it with we've cut it into the smaller pieces. So I don't know if that helps too. Is just the smaller you get it, the more it seems to cook the moisture out of it. And
That's the thing, is you have to press it to get the moisture out of it. So it's
Yeah.
it's not labor intensive. It's just, you just have to take it out and kind of press it between a couple of cutting boards on paper towels and get that moisture out in maybe 10-15 minutes.
yeah, we even found some tofu noodles that we had used
Oh,
one
yeah.
time that were pretty good. So
What I found is hearts of palm noodles. I made my
Ooh, I would
lasagna with
like that.
hearts of palm, and they now have a can, and they have spaghetti and linguine in it. It's in a can. And actually, my friend in Oklahoma tried it. He could not believe how good it was.
Really?
Yeah,
okay,
I'm thinking about making. I want to make linguine and clam sauce using that. I really
Oh,
do.
I'm gonna have to look into that because I do love that.
Yeah, or Alfredo. I love Alfredo. It's
Hmm.
it's a lot of fat and calories, but there's no carbs. So there you go.
yeah, right.
Just gotta
Right.
watch it.
Well, Craig, we want to say again, thanks a lot for taking time out of your day to be here. Certainly appreciate it. So, what is one thing that you do? It could be a cooking tool or just a habit that you have, either through your, in your personal life, professional life, just something that you couldn't do without on a daily basis.
Um, well, I mean, we've been talking about for the past 10 minutes, but I use air fryers at almost every meal,
Okay.
almost all the time, because I love the taste and I love the experience of fried food. And without the oil content, without it being deep fried, there's a lot less guilt, there's a lot less calories, and it's better for you. But in conjunction, and this is then again, this is not my website. There's a great, excuse me, I Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I'm down. But in conjunction, this is not my website, but there's a website I use almost every day called Fat Secret. Uh,
Ah,
and if you go to it, they even have fast food stuff. You put like you can put an egg McMuffin in there, and it's going to tell you how many carbs, how many net carbs, how many calories. And I use that almost every day too to guide
Oh,
myself when I'm eating.
and
yeah.
it's called
If that's what
fat,
you're, I don't know if it's Fat Secret.
fat.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
that's such.
like the popcorn, yeah, Fat
Yeah.
Secret. I think it's what it's called. That's called Pop Secret. That's right. But feeding fatty, Fat Secret. You guys should get together.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's so important. We can't reiterate that enough. That knowing what you're eating is the key. I mean, and that's I think part of it was for me, ignorant was bliss. Don't look at it. You don't know, but it's still you
Tastes
still
good at the
ingested
moment.
it. So you've got to figure out what's in this stuff in order to be able to control it. And some things that once you do find out what's in it, how many carbs, it's like, oh my goodness, I
You
could
don't
not
know.
believe, because it's not just that one thing. Usually, well, I'll say my experience is if I'd have just had that one thing, I would have been okay. But it was that thing and about seven others throughout the day is what makes me why I'm overweight and have a blood sugar problem too. So
Yeah,
look,
and the key thing that I learned is that no matter what it is, a lot of people I see in all these groups on Facebook are really upset. They have type 2 diabetes. They feel like all they're going to be eating is lettuce and
right,
cucumbers the rest of their life. And
Right.
absolutely not true. That's why I have my show out there. It's to show you can make these rich, decadent meals and at the same time be of service to your disease and helping keep it arrested. You really
right,
can.
right. Yeah, and that's amazing that you're off your meds because
That sounds weird. Off his meds.
yeah,
Yeah. He's got
right.
that twitch going.
Yeah, because I just know how hard I've tried, and it's difficult. I mean, like I think we talked that there was one point last fall,
About a
last year,
year ago.
that we were exercising crazy. We were exercising at a level that was unsustainable, and I got mine down to I was in the 80s, 90s a few times,
Good.
but not nothing sustainable. So it gets back to, I think it's like losing weight in general. Kind of the same for controlling that blood sugar. Diet's going to be 80%, 85% of that, and then that little bit can be some exercise. But you've got to start with the food and get that business under control for sure.
Well, my roommate told me today, because he sees pretty much. He says, you know what, you don't eat a lot. He says I'm not a grazer. I'm not. I eat very, when he means by very little, he gives my portions are small. I don't go for seconds and stuff. But I think one of the keys, and we talked about this earlier, is a lot of my stuff is high fiber. And when you eat high fiber, you're done. You're full. You're satisfied. I don't even crave sweets, because after a while you get your body, when you lower your carbs down, you may know this yourself. After a certain point, you don't crave sweets anymore because your body's not screaming out for carbohydrates.
Right. Yeah. Not only that, but it's the weird stuff that starts tasting sweet to you. Other foods, I just notice, I'll be like, wow, that tasted really sweet.
Carrots.
Yeah, exactly.
Carrots are
Exactly.
sweet.
Really sweet. I'm like, wow. Especially
Yeah.
if you cook them. Not raw, but when you cook them, like,
Yeah.
did I put something on this?
Right.
Somebody slipped me
Honey
some
on this?
sugar.
Yeah. Well, Craig, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, look you up on YouTube, so they can look at some of your cooking shows.
Sure, I wish they would. You can see me on Facebook. It's facebook.com off the cuff with Craig Mitchell. And on YouTube, it just put in off the cuff healthy cooking with Craig Mitchell. I know it's a long title, but it'll get you there.
Yeah, and we'll have all these up on the show notes as well and on our
I appreciate
webpage.
it.
So yeah, we'll make sure and get that for you. Well, Craig, again, thanks a lot. We appreciate everybody listening. Again, you can find us at www.feedingfatty.com. We're on all the major podcast platforms: iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, everywhere. If we're not on one that you like to listen to, please reach out. We'll be sure and try to get that added. Also, you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group. We'd like to have a discussion, anything that you want. And then also Instagram, Twitter, all the major places you can find us there. So until next time, I am Roy.
I'm Cherry. Bye. Pleasure.